of September the 4th, Wednesday, September the 4th, 2019. Uh, we're going to call this meeting to order and take the roll. Roll call, please.
Councilman Brewer will not be in attendance this evening.
He's out of town.
Councilman Fields. Councilwoman Miles.
She'll be here late.
Councilwoman Neville. Councilwoman Willis. Vice Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Mayor Wood.
Present. Looks like we have a quorum. All right, next we'll have our invocation by Pastor Mark from the Church of the Pentecost, Shiloh Assembly. If he would come to the podium, please, and give us an invocation.
Shall we please bow for a prayer? Gracious Lord, we come to you tonight with a heart full of gratitude. We want to thank you for the gift of life, and I want to take your grace for granted. We are alive because you have given us the opportunity to live, not because we serve. We want to commit this gathering into your hands. Pray for the city, pray for the leadership, and pray for this meeting. I pray that let grace abound. Chair this meeting, direct the affairs. Let decisions that are going to be taken here affect this city in a positive way. That at the end of the day, this city will grow from grace to grace, and all men will know that you are indeed present in this city. We thank you, bless you. In Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen.
Amen. We thank you for that heartfelt prayer. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, please be seated. Next on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Are there any amendments to be made to the agenda as written? Town manager? Town clerk? Council? All right, seeing none, yes.
The item that I'd like to pull for further discussion at the work session is the public procurement.
Okay.
Section of the introduction items, which would be A.
Mayor, if I may, that's an introductory item. There's no action on that item tonight. Schedule a public hearing.
Okay.
You sure?
I still want to move it. I really do. Because I think the whole town council, need to just discuss this before it goes to public hearing.
I would ask that we would discuss that at that time, and we'll also have time to discuss that at public hearing, but we could discuss it at introduction.
Okay, so you want a motion? So we could, we'll
I'd
take
like
a vote.
motion to move it to work session.
All right. So we'll vote on that. Is there a second on that? So no second on it? Okay. I guess we'll discuss it. There's no second. So I welcome a motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, second. All right, so the agenda has been motioned to be adopted as written and properly second. The voting machine isn't up here, so we're gonna do verbal hand gesture votes. All right, so all in favor of adopting the agenda, say aye. Okay, motion carries 3-1. Or do we physically do it? All who oppose, say with a show of hands. All right, all who oppose. Okay, so motion carries 3-1. Yeah. Can you cut some of these front lights down? Oh, behind us. Cut some of the front lights behind us, please. Slightly. There you go. Thank you. All right. Next on the agenda is citizen comment period. Hold on, we're gonna get the list. All right, we're on the citizen comment. Any citizen signed up to speak?
No, we're changing this slightly. This would be citizen comments on anything that is not on the agenda.
Okay.
We will at every agenda item, action item, we will ask for citizen comment at that time,
Okay. On every item?
on every item. Yes,
Okay. All right, so stuff that's not on the agenda. I think we had some people here that wasn't, that's not on the agenda that wanted to speak. So if you could just, all right, you first. Just state your name, the name of, your organization, the proprietors, and you just give everything to the clerk and she'll get it to the council. And you can address the council for up to 8 minutes as a business and 3 minutes as a citizen. All right, the floor is now yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and members of the Town Council. My name is Tanya Gossett. I am the Superintendent of Prince William Forest Park, National Park Service. I'm very pleased to be with you this evening to introduce myself and to talk a little bit about Dumfries' own national park. The park was created by the Roosevelt administration and Congress for two reasons: recreation and conservation. Prince William Forest Park provides an outstanding venue for hiking, biking, camping, picnicking, exploring, relaxing, exercising, bird watching, and so on. You get the idea. The maturing eastern deciduous forest helps conserve most of the Quantico Creek watershed. And for that reason, Quantico Creek within the park is one of the healthiest streams in Northern Virginia. The forest also provides a home for more than 1,200 different species of plants and animals, including a few that are rare, threatened, or endangered. For those of you who are not familiar with the park, let me run the numbers. Prince William Forest Park is the third largest national park in the Commonwealth by area. We have, on average, 350,000 visitors each year. In 2018, those park visitors spent an estimated $17.9 million in local gateway communities. These expenditures supported 219 jobs and $23.8 million in economic output in the local area. Our visitors come to Prince William Forest Park for the 40 miles of hiking trails, the 27 miles of biking trails, the 5 historic cabin camps that can be rented by groups and families, our 2 campgrounds for tent and small RV campers, our RV campground that includes 72 sites for RV hookups. For those visitors who really want to get away from it all, we have 8 backcountry primitive camping sites. Currently, at this time, a one-time pass into the park is $15. If you would like to come twice, I recommend that you buy an annual pass for $30, and you have that for the whole year. These entrance fees help the park chip away at its more than $24 million deferred maintenance backlog. We use these entrance fees to help pay for our facility upgrades for the public and for public programs that our interpretive staff run for visitors. I would like to let the council know that we have 2 free events coming up this month. One is our annual Heritage Festival, which will be on Saturday, September 14th. We also have National Public Lands Day on Saturday, September 28th. That's one of our largest volunteer events of the entire year. I invite you and the entire Dumfries community to join us for one or both of these events. I would also like to take this opportunity to extend an invitation to the Town Council, the members of the Town Council, to tour the park and learn more about its history, its wildlife, and its recreational opportunities. And I would be more than pleased to arrange that at your convenience, and we'll have park staff show you around so you can better understand the phenomenal opportunities that the park has for this community. I do thank you for your time this evening, and I hope to see you all very soon at the park.
Thank you for your comments. All right, is there anyone else wishing to address the council about anything that's not on the agenda? State your name, your address and company for the record for the clerk, and then you can go into your business.
My name is Michael Hancock. I'm the executive director of All Cyber. And what else, Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I want to thank the mayor. I met him on a back to school night, and he had a shirt on that said Mayor of Dumfries. And that's what caught my attention. So we were in between a 3-minute breaks from class. And my grandson and his son are in oceanography together, class together. And he invited me today to come in and address the group. Now, I told him I was the executive director of All Cyber, and we deal in IT. But just a little bit about myself. I'm a retired military officer, Air Force, who spent his last 4 years at Quantico. Can you imagine an Air Force guy working with Marine Corps? And that's what I did. So I've lived in the community since 2003, and my primary education is in the military. It was education and training and HR. So how I became the executive director of All Cyber, I went back to junior college, thinking that I wanted to get an MBA. So I take some management courses. So I took a few management courses, and there was one course for IT that was required for every management person. And that instructor, it was doing PowerPoint, Excel, that type of stuff. So he suggested that I go to this little club meeting, and I did. And I said, why am I doing this MBA when the future is IT? And as soon as I finished under the GI Bill, I went right into cybersecurity. So I now own an associate's in cybersecurity. And I'm also an adjunct professor at George Washington University teaching ethics in cyberspace. So I'm totally involved in the IT community. Now, All Cyber is a nonprofit organization that is in partnership with NOVA, the Woodbridge campus in your community. And what we do is to prepare the next generation for those jobs and to pursue further education in cybersecurity. So every Saturday, and that's what I told the mayor, and that's why he grabbed me, we have training over at the Woodbridge campus in the new building up on the 3rd floor from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, and it's free. We don't charge, and you don't have to know anything, just like I did. So we have laptops, a training instructor, he'll sit you down. You don't have to know anything. And basically, we don't compete with the university as far as trying to educate you. But what we do is we provide hands-on training, because IT, cybersecurity, is not like other career fields. You get a history, you get your degree in history, and then you're out there ready to do a job. In IT, you have to be able to do the keyboard. And that's what we practice upon. So probably over 1,000 individuals have came through All Cyber, mainly students, so NOVA students. And our role for them is to prepare them for competition training. So all the things, as a community college, we go up against 4-year schools, collegiate cybersecurity defense competition. That's 3 states. Their NOVA's signature competition, in which, for instance, your building, we have a team of 8 people. They train up just like a basketball team from November until January. And they sit there in front of a computer and protect it against hackers. And that's what they do. And then we have other competitions where you can use offensive-minded tools. So the things that people learn how to do is to hack into systems. So an individual coming there learns how to defend and learns how to attack. So it's very much interesting. And we do things over there from robotics to, in fact, right now, we have a little research. The school has allowed us to use their servers, and we have training platforms. So you can come in not knowing nothing and just kind of work your way up, earn your certification. And we have individuals uh, that earn 60, 70, $80,000 a year, even before they earn their community college degree, because they hold a certification. So we've partnered with the local community. Before it was just Nova students in competition. And then we said, okay, we're going to look at the whole community. So anybody can come. You, anybody. So middle age, this is not age discriminatory. You come up there and you can learn how to help yourselves as far as the what we do today. Uh, what I'm excited about that we're in your community, and what we do, there are no other organizations that do this type of thing, and for gratis. And we're involved with the Prince William County school systems. I've spoke to Potomac High School, their cybersecurity program. We work with, I don't know if you've heard of Little Kings. They come out there on Saturdays. Kids for College, Dell City Boys and Girls Club. We're out there, and the Army is the young people. So we have young people teaching young people. So it's pretty good. Like I said, 1,000 people have went through. Some of them have finished from George Washington, George Mason, you name it. Some of them are college graduates out there working through there. And there's one group that, okay, 7 seconds. But here's the bottom line: is that we're out there, and it's open to everybody. And we just want you to know that we're in your community and helping Dumfries and Prince William County to elevate to the next level in IT. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. We appreciate it. Hopefully you leave some information with the clerk and we'll be able to all follow up. Is there anyone else here that wants to speak about something that's not on the agenda? Please step up to the podium, state your name and your address and the nature of your business. Okay. You have 5 minutes. The floor is yours.
Probably about 2 minutes, really.
Okay.
My name is Don Scoggins, and I live in the Woodbridge area, right off of Davis Ford Road and the Parkway. And I'm also a candidate for chairman of the Board of Supervisors here in Prince William County. One of the reasons why I'm here is because I'm very interested in the exciting things that the city of Dumfries, or the town of Dumfries, is planning to do with your streetscape and things like that. Being an urban planner and a person who's particularly interested in land use planning and things of that nature, I want to try to get more focused in on what you're doing. And when I become chairman of the Board of Supervisors, I'm going to be a special advocate for what the town plans to do. And I really I was this weekend, I went to see someone who lives up there by the Wims Museum. And while I was up there, I said, oh, I feel like I'm down off of 81. You know, you really don't feel like you're so close in when you're up there, you know, and I think, I'm sure the residents want to kind of retain that small town feel. And that's the reason why I'm here. And also, I just want to introduce everyone to myself. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer it after the meeting. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak about something that's not currently on the agenda? All right. Seeing none, then we will close out our citizen comment period. Next on the agenda is our presentation. The first presentation is a proclamation for a proclamation for the town of Dumfries supporting National Suicide Prevention Week. And I'm gonna ask Ms. Kate Long, right? Yeah. I see her trying to remember. If you would just stand up, you stand right here in the middle. We fancy. We got technology around here. No, we'll come down. And I'll read this proclamation to you. If my battery ain't dead. Make sure I'm on when I want. Just turn it on. It says National Suicide Prevention Week. and September 10th, World Suicide Prevention Day proclamation, where suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States, accounting for more than 1% of all deaths in the United States, and where suicide is the second leading cause of death among those aged 15 to 24, and whereas 44,000 Americans died by suicide each year globally, 800,000 individuals each year commit complete suicide. And whereas in the United States, there is one death every 12 minutes, and globally, suicide deaths are roughly every 40 seconds. And whereas many of those who died never received effective behavior health service for many reasons, including difficult of assessing services by healthcare providers trained in best practices to reduce suicide risks, the stigma of using behavior health treatment, and the stigma attached to losing a loved one to suicide. And whereas agencies such as ACTS Helpline are committed to reducing the frequency of suicide attempts, the pain of survivors affected by the suicide death of a loved one through community education, intervention services, and bereavement services. And whereas the ACTS Helpline has provided 24/7 telephone support since 1981 to individuals in crisis information and referral numbers to community resources, community education, and outreach through Dumfries. Therefore, be it resolved that it is proclaimed that the week of September 8th to 14th, 2019 is National Suicide Prevention Week, and commend ACTS Helpline for responding to members of our community in pain, promoting mental health, providing education on depression, suicide prevention, intervention, and postvention in our community. By order of the council, signed, Mayor, Town of Dumfries. Thank you. All right, next, we're going to do a proclamation designated September Workforce Development Professionals Month. Is Sonia here? Oh, come on up, Sonia. There she is. I guess I should have just stayed up there. Go ahead. Workforce Development. Can y'all hear me? Workforce Development Professionals Month proclamation. Whereas the economic development of every region in our country and the ability of our businesses and industries to compete in a global economy are more than ever before dependent on the availability and quality of a skilled workforce and robust talent pipeline. And whereas the complexity and fast-paced change in our economy and labor market puts new demands on individuals and employers at all levels. And whereas employers depend on similar levels of professional services to help them recruit and retain a competitive workforce and continually upgrade the skill sets of their incumbent employees. And whereas the town of Dumfries is home to a wide variety of businesses in numerous industries and specializations, and whereas the town has partnerships with numerous agencies to provide training and development opportunities for English as a second language, small business development, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy, among others. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Council of the Town of Dumfries joins with the National Association of Workforce Development Professionals in designating the month of September as Workforce Development Professionals Month to honor all those individuals in all the workforce development organizations and partnerships who play such a vital role in our economy. Signed by order of the council, Mayor Derek R. Wood. All right, next on our agenda is an update on Interstate 95 corridor study. And who's here to present? I know Nick didn't come. He said the representative. You just share your name and the floor is now yours.
Certainly. Good evening. My name is Tim White. I work for Kimley Horn Associates, and I am here tonight to give you an update on the I-95 Corridor Improvement Plan. Well, I tell you, VDOT did such a great job last year with the I-81 Corridor Improvement Plan on 325 miles that the General Assembly decided to direct them to do an evaluation of all of I-95 this year. Actually, the resolutions that were passed stated that the evaluation would be between Thornburg, exit 118, up to 170, exit 170, which is 495. However, the Secretary of Transportation decided to extend that evaluation period all the way from North Carolina to the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. There we go. So last month, actually in July now, we conducted 3 different sets of meetings, the closest of which to here was in Lorton. And those meetings were to share with the public, get feedback from the public on the existing issues in the corridor. And I'm going to talk through some of the issues with you this evening so that you can understand the complexity of the I-95 corridor. We will be doing another set of meetings in November. The closest one will be held at, likely, we haven't finalized the location, but it's going to be Freedom High School. Freedom High School likely will be the location. And that's going to be the first week of November. Excuse me, October. It's the first week of October. Another slide. So I'm going to give you an overview of the corridor, give you the significance of the I-95 corridor, and a summary of some of the data that we've evaluated. The data really does help tell the story of what are the critical issues in the corridor, and then I'll talk to you about what's moving forward from this point. So the General Assembly, as I mentioned, did pass 2 joint resolutions. Last year was an actual bill for the I-81. This year, they passed resolutions, one for the House Joint Resolution 581 and one for Senate Joint Resolution 276. And that was to evaluate I-95 between, as I mentioned, 118 to 170. To identify the key issues in the corridor, identify some potential solutions, and that's where we are right now, is identifying potential improvements for additional review and study. The resolutions directed that the public meetings be completed by November 30th, and that the report, the findings, would be delivered to the General Assembly in early 2020. So you can see on that right-hand side of the graphic there in the blue, those are the areas where I-95 runs through. This actually incorporates the Northern Virginia District of VDOT, the Fredericksburg District of VDOT, the Richmond District, and also the Hampton Roads District. The Hampton Roads is down the last 40 miles near the North Carolina line. So we do know that this corridor is extremely complex. It is way different than any other corridor in Virginia. I-81 has its own character and look and feel. I-95, which in Virginia is about 179 miles of roadway, it is 1,900 miles from Maine to Florida. So we represent about 10% of the mileage of that entire corridor. But this section of I-95 really is truly a multimodal corridor. It includes highway, metro rail, VRE, van pulling, carpooling, slugging, commuter bus, park and ride lots, and Amtrak. That is very unique to the corridor. It also carries 9 million trucks a year, which is second only to I-81. It has, unfortunately, 3,700 incidents per year, and those incidents can be anything from crashes to fire to disabled vehicles, and so those incidents cause almost 2 hours average to clear on average. So that is a big impact on the corridor. There's over 5,000 crashes a year, 21,000 over 4 years, and $195 billion of goods are moved in the corridor every year. Okay. So one of the things that we started to look at, there's a lot of data for us to digest. But one of the things that we started to really focus in on is the delay in the corridor. There's 2 different types of delay that we refer to in the industry. One is recurring delay, which is the congestion that you see on a daily basis if you're sitting in traffic congestion 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, or 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. That is what we call recurring delay. Then there's the non-recurring delay, and that non-recurring delay is caused by incidents, weather, work zones, special events or holidays, and those are ones that you don't expect, and that's when you have sudden stops in places where you wouldn't normally stop. So the pie charts on the right-hand side represent the amount of delay, and you can see as we start to move from north to south that the delay is substantially more in the northern part of the corridor as it is in the southern part of the corridor. It also shows the pie charts there start to tell a story. The blue is the recurring delay, which happens on a regular basis. The orange is the non-recurring delay. So as you start to move from north to south, the recurring delay starts to become less. And so the issues that are the reason why this corridor is so complex and challenging is that the solutions that you would come up with in an area where there's recurring delay are different than those that you would develop because of non-recurring delay. When we started to also look at how people are being moved, not just by cars, but by trains and slugging and carpooling, we started to look at the corridor, and we broke it into 8 different points that we wanted to identify. The northernmost point was between 495 and the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. The second point was between just south of the Mixing Bowl exit 170, the 495 interchange. The third point was around the Occoquan River. I want you to focus on those 3, on the second and third ones first, and then we'll start to look at how the people being moved in the corridor changes as you start to go from Fredericksburg to Richmond to Hampton Roads. Go to the next slide, please. So these charts here show, let's look at the second and third lines. The blue represents the number of people who are being moved by single occupant vehicles. You ride by yourself. The orange line represents the people who are being moved by train, bus, VRE, commuter rail, slugging, and carpooling. And so 60% of the vehicles being moved, of the people being moved, in the corridor, in the area just south of the 495 interchange and right around Occoquan are being moved by non-SOV. However, when you start to move down to the Fredericksburg area, you see that percentage drops to 30%, 35%, and as you move down towards Richmond, it's closer to 25%. So what can we do in the corridor to make sure that that percentage continues to stay at a high level throughout the entire corridor or increase in the areas where it's already high? And those are the kind of things that we started to consider, not just adding lanes, but also potentially adding more trains. And then you have to figure out whether or not it's adding trains during the peak times or adding trains during the weekends. And we'll talk about this next.
Wait, Tim, before you move slides, quick question. Does that SOV represent people who's using the Flex Easy Pass and actually paying to be moved along? Or because you said single, the blue is just representing single, but are we counting for the people who's using the Flex?
Yes, we have received data from Transurban that has information with respect to the number of people that are using Flex versus the number of people who are carpooling or slugging.
Okay. Melvin, did you have a question?
Okay, next slide. So as we start to look at a lot of it's a complex issue, as I mentioned. There's several different issues that are going on in this corridor. This happens to be speeds in the corridor. As we go from the left to the right, left is North Carolina line, right is the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. And we can start to see the dashed line is the speed limit. And the blue line, the darker shaded area is your average speeds through the corridor. And then the lighter shaded area is where there's a 10% of the vehicles are going that slow. So as we start to look at Richmond area, you see in the overlap area where 64, downtown Richmond, where 64 overlaps, the speeds start to drop 20 miles an hour below the posted speed. But if you look at Stafford and Occoquan, this is a typical morning going northbound. You experienced this going northbound, that there is a tremendous drop in speeds. This is data from 2018 for the entire year. So this is not just 1 day's worth of data or 2 days worth of data. This is an entire year's of data in the morning peak. looking at how the speeds drop significantly. And you can see at the Occoquan area going northbound is dropping down to 20 miles an hour as average as the very worst part.
Where would you pinpoint Dumfries on this graphic?
Dumfries is just to the left of the Occoquan there and just to the right of Stafford.
Yeah, I mean, I know where Dumfries is, but could you point and show us? I'm really curious about Dumfries specific things here. Exactly where? I mean, I'm assuming right after Stafford, where the traffic plummets, because I see it on the opposite side of the road every morning as I'm. I'm just singing, drinking my coffee, driving to Stafford, going the opposite way, and I see everyone sitting there going northbound every day. So where would you pinpoint Dumfries in that dark blue? So right where it starts to plummet. Okay. Thank you.
And as we start to look at the data from the weekend, we have noticed a different story. And go to the next slide. So you can see this is a northbound movement on a typical weekend. Again, not a pretty story. The story is different. If you start to see the issues now, they begin in the Fredericksburg area around exit 126, and they really do not lessen as you move north. And if any of you drive northbound on 95 in the Fredericksburg or on the weekend, you'll know that you experience this quite often. We only showed this as two examples to show that we are looking at data both weekday, weekend. We're looking at typical month. We're also looking at summer months and seeing the difference and variation. And we're trying to figure out whether the solutions, and notice we wouldn't come up with a solution in the Fredericksburg area for a typical weekday, but we might do one for the weekend. Okay. So this is more data. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I do want to show you, this was information the Deputy Secretary shared with the public at those public meetings. This is a crash severity diagram. Again, northbound is on the bottom in the green, southbound is on the top in the blue. The left is North Carolina, the right is Woodrow Wilson Bridge. Yes.
Quick question. Can we assume that the information that you've shown us for northbound looks pretty similar when you start talking southbound during the week here?
It is a little bit different.
It's worse?
Well, it's obviously during the weekend, during the evening time, and it is worse. I'll show you here. Next slide will show you some issues with both directions.
Thank you.
So this is actually showing you that the worst severity issue for crashes is in the Richmond area, going southbound, but not closely followed by the area around Occoquan. And what we have identified with those dashed lines are the top 25%. So areas on the top of it on the southbound side, on the bottom of it on the northbound side are the ones that are worse than the top 25% in the corridor. And what we're trying to do is identify the top 25% so we can try to come up with recommendations for improvement at those locations, at the worst locations. Okay, next slide. This is actually the information I was going to share with you. The delay, that one point there that goes really high is at the Occoquan at 160. It really creates a bottleneck because of lane drop that goes southbound. And then the next highest delay is just the mile north of there because it's created the bottleneck going northbound. As we start, then you can see the northbound side pales in comparison. It's about a third of the delay. It's not great, but it's not as bad as that southbound at the Occoquan area. And then the rest of the corridor really does not look as bad. When you see the Richmond area, it's just a little spike there on northbound and southbound in the Richmond area, but the area starts building, the delay starts building going northbound around 243, 234, Route 234. Okay, go to the next slide, please. So this is the non-recurring delay part of it that I was explaining to you. It actually gets into the number of hours of delay caused by vehicles blocking the lane for more than an hour. So you can see that the areas that we were talking about with the recurring delay is also a very hot spot for the non-recurring delay. But the non-recurring delay, this is the ones that are caused by incidents that come up all of a sudden. You can see that the Richmond area going northbound is a much bigger hotspot for this than the typical recurring delay. And to figure out how the non-recurring and the recurring delay are going to be rectified. And we have different solutions for each. Go ahead, next slide, please. So over the next 6 years, 7 years, there's going to be in the neighborhood of $1 billion worth of investment in the corridor, all the way from the auxiliary lane there at 123, exit 160, down to some improvements in the Richmond area, down to exit 161 at Route 10. There's some other auxiliary lane improvements. But in between, in Fredericksburg area, there's some really big projects around the Rappahannock River to do. It's in the neighborhood of $800 million worth of projects to make a significant improvement on I-95.
I guess I got a question, Tim. On that, I see like Route 10 and Route 123 and Route 630. There's nothing for Route 1 planned in your in like the I-95 corridor study, as far as, because I know all of Stafford Route 1 up into Quantico, and it kind of stops right at Dumfries as far as the improvements, and so there's no connectivity on the Route 1 part of the corridor through the town of Dumfries. Can you speak to that?
Yes. So what we are going to be doing as part of this corridor improvement plan is identifying what we would call incident management plans. So there is definitely issues when there was a crash on 95. We want to make sure that there is a plan set in place for people to divert onto Route 1, further south, 301. And so those are the situations where we would be looking at doing improvements such as signal improvements, communication upgrades. We'll also be looking at improvements such as mostly going to be pertaining to incident plans as opposed to adding capacity to the arterial roads at this point. This plan is largely focused on I-95 and the I-95 improvements.
So the corridor study doesn't include the auxiliary routes that people dump off to?
It will be including the incident management, the routes that are designated as incident management routes for improvement for crashes that occur on 95, either northbound or southbound. Yes.
So Route 1 isn't an incident improvement route?
There'll definitely will be locations for improvement on Route 1. They won't be major capacity improvements on Route 1. There will be improvements, as I mentioned, to when there's an incident, the signals will be modified to make sure that the flow occurs in the direction of the incident plan. And so like if there's a crash going southbound, the vehicles are diverted off of 95 onto Route 1. Those signals will then be coordinated so that the people can move very, very efficiently on Route 1, as opposed to a typical time of day plan that would occur without an incident on 95.
So has the Office of the Secretary of Transportation considered consulting with Dumfries as to whether or not that would be most beneficial for the town, as well as, your traffic incident management?
There's forums such as this, presentations to the MBTA and others that are being done like I said, we're going to be having presentations in October for the recommended plan. So you're welcome to comment on those at that time.
So we have to come to you and say out loud, hey, we actually would rather have that money go toward our capital improvement plans where we're looking to expand our roads as opposed to stoplight management.
Right. That's not the focus. That wasn't the focus on the I-81 study, and that's not the focus of the I-95 study.
Okay,
either.
so ultimately we just have to bring it to your attention and get your attention and to get you to notice. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
No problem.
Councilor Neville.
Thank you. So I pulled up the survey in your packet, and that survey is showing up that it ended unless I missed a key. So will there be another survey present leading up to that October meeting? And do you have the link so that we can share it with citizens so they can share their input?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll share with you some information from the surveys if you let me finish just a little bit longer, and I'll get to that point. Yes. Go ahead, next slide, please. So there will be improvements that are actually, there are investments already being made in the corridor pertaining to VRE platform extensions to allow for larger trains. We're also, there's looking plans for the Long Bridge improvements, which is the bridge that goes into Washington, D.C., adding capacity to that. We're looking at improving park and ride lots to allow for amenities such as carpooling and slugging and van pooling and commuter bus, and also putting in new lots to add the opportunity for people to have those different options. We're also going to be doing, and this is where the incident management and also the non-recurring delay comes into play. We have to be able to identify the crash as soon as possible. We have to then inform the public of the crash, and then we have to clear the crash. And when there's a crash with a truck, they are not movable by the same vehicles that are movable for cars. So there's a lot of times we want to make sure that the right type of tow truck is available in areas where there's a higher percentage of crashes with trucks. And so that's where the towing program is going to come into play. We're also having increased safety service patrol, more safety service patrol, and filling some of the gaps in the safety service patrol. More cameras, more changeable message signs. Those things will help inform the public and identify the issue. And those are going to help with the incident management side of the house. Next slide. So these are the performance measures that were shared with the public in July. Crash frequency and severity, total delay and incident delay, and those were the charts I was showing you earlier. And those top 25 locations were shown throughout the corridor on maps. And matter of fact, they are on the website right now, all the boards that were shared at the public meetings. They were 8 feet long by 3 feet high, and each of them were very clearly showing the issues along the corridor. Next slide. So this is the presentation, as you mentioned, the actual online survey that was created for the July meetings. It closed on August 21st. We were fortunate, we had 150 people attend the meetings. There were 3 meetings around the state, and we ended up with a tremendous amount of input on the online survey. We had 2,900 respondents, and we were allowing them, as you can see in that slide right there, there's some I guess points where you can identify congestion issues, safety issues, and we had over 11,000 points identified in the corridor for the 179 miles. 11,000 points was very helpful for us to identify where the public was identifying the critical issues. 76% of the points that were identified were due to congestion, not surprising. And we ended up also receiving 200 emails, and we had received 40 comment sheets. So those are the feedback that we've received as of July. We will be back in October, the first week, the 7th through the 11th, and then we'll be back again in November to gain feedback again on the recommendations. And the biggest number of responses that we received from the online survey were from folks in North Stafford, Stafford County. And so that's the summary. The next one will tell you we were going to be giving CTB updates. Those are also online right now. All the surveys, all the presentations have been delivered. We'll be doing ones in September, October, and likely in December. The next rounds of public meetings are there, shown for October and November. Our report will be finished in December, the very end of December, beginning of January, and submitted to the General Assembly at that point. All right, and then the next slide gives a copy of the link that you can go on to and provide feedback. There will be another survey. It's under development right now. It will be developed in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and it will be online for people to start providing feedback. And there it is, for va95corridor.org. Any other questions?
No, ma'am. Hold on, we're not at that point. So we're gonna make sure that when he has the public hearing, that we get you there for feedback, so council can address. So, all right. Who up here had a question that you wanted to ask? Somebody? Vice Mayor Chair. What's the date you open this? It's not to October 7th? I was trying to write the date down when you said it.
October 7th through the 11th are going to be the next round of public meetings.
So at the public meetings, we get the tablets to give our feedback?
Mhm. Yeah.
And at what point can the public give you, send you the emails? I know you said you got 200 emails in that first round. At what point can our public
You can
begin to,
send it right now,
they can start sending emails now? for feedback?
anytime.
All right. Is the email addressed on this VA
is.
95 corridor?
It is. yes.
Okay, so that's how they can, so all feedback can be addressed at va95corridor.org, corridor.org. It was a slide, and I don't remember what slide it was. I'm trying to go back. I want to, hold on. On the Long Branch project he was talking about. You were talking about bridges and trains
Mhm.
and adding capacity to like a Long Branch or something. Hold 16. Now, so all of these are the current investments that you already planned on making prior to the study?
It is, there are some that are already planned for investment. There are some new park and ride lots for sure. There's definitely upgrades to the VRE station platforms already been funded. Atlantic Gateway has yet to be funded for the actual Long Bridge improvements. That's a $2.7 billion project going into Washington, D.C.
Into DC?
Mhm.
Not on our I-95 corridor, but going into Washington, DC.
It is for the bridge, for the rail bridge improvement. It's a bottleneck on the entire eastern corridor.
And what's the budget on that?
It's, well, they don't have all the funding yet, but it's a neighborhood.
Wow. All we need is 60 million for construction. We got everything else we need. We not asking for that much money. But I think that's, but any other questions, council?
And just to clarify, that link, you said in 2 to 3 weeks that survey will be opened up again. So it'll be on that VA corridor, 95
Yeah,
corridor.
I think we're planning on for 2 weeks prior to the public meeting. So the public meeting is the 7th, so whatever 2 weeks before that is. I don't have my calendar with me.
Well, thank you for this presentation and education to our citizens here in Dumfries and
You're
definitely to our council.
You're welcome.
It was definitely eye-opening. I think we missed the first round of public hearing just because I don't think we heard about it. So but we're going to make sure that our public knows about it and that they can give feedback if they want and be able to ask questions, especially since it's going to be at Freedom High School.
Mhm.
So we look forward to seeing you and the rest of your team there.
I'll be there. Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda is going to be council and mayor comments. We'll start down with Councilman Fields. You did? All right.
Good evening, everyone, and glad everyone is here. Back to school time is upon us, and it's very important that we stay vigilant for our kids out in the community. We have a lot of fall events coming up, so please pay attention to our billboard out front to see our nice fall events that are coming up, and just be vigilant. Be out in your community. As some of you may have seen, I've been out in the community on the weekends where we're being noticed, and I'm out there walking the streets in the communities and holding us, meaning our council and our officers, accountable for being out there in the community. I want to see them out there, and I see them out there, and I'm going to be out there as well. So stay forward, stay tuned, look at my Facebook page. When I'm out there in the community, I'm on Facebook, and I'm videoing live that I'm out there walking and talking to people in the community. So have any concerns, just let me know. Thank you.
Council Lady Willis. Push your mic for the people.
So,
If
have
y'all
been here
can't
for a
hear, just
couple
wave
months.
your hand sometimes.
School started, some counties earlier than others. Drivers just need to be, we all need to be vigilant of the little ones at bus stops in the morning and getting off buses and being excited they're home and dashing across the streets. So be very vigilant of that. We've got something coming up on the 5th, which is Cops and Council with Cones at our ice cream place across from Pizza Hut. And I hope everybody comes down to visit us and lets us know any concerns that you have if you're there. So hope to see you there.
Council Lady Neville.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone here and at home. As my council members before me stated, back to school time, and as a teacher, of course, I have to still say something, even if everybody says something. Make sure your kids are reading at least 20 minutes every night. And parents, to ensure a successful school year, you have to remember that it's all about having a partnership with the school system for your child's education. And speaking of back to school, a lot of us up here have students in college. And so we need to make sure they are registered to vote. We have an election coming up in November, and there are some significant dates coming up. If they're coming home, check the deadline, go to pwcvotes.org. You can get updates sent to your phone. Make sure they are registered to vote absentee if they will be here. I don't want to say the wrong date off the top of my head, but they can come and register and vote absentee at the DMV. If not, just make sure they register and they're signed up to vote from their school by mail. We always forget about our college students. Please make sure they know that their vote still matters. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Welcome back to school. I wish all the students, faculty, and staff a prosperous year. I want to give a special shout out to our teachers, which are commonly the unsung heroes. As Councilwoman Neville said, it is important that as parents, we have a partnership with the school, with the staff, with the teachers, especially so that we can put our efforts together to make sure that the children are successful during the year. It is very important. We do have some children who are self-motivated, but then there are others that need a push. So we have to work together to make sure that they get the push that they need to be successful. I also hope to see you all at COPS Councils and Cones tomorrow. I just realized that it's at 5 o'clock, so I won't be there. I'll probably be in traffic. But those of you who can make it at 5 o'clock, please do come out, support our efforts in the community, because that's what encourages us to do more and enjoy a cone. Hopefully the weather will be nice enough. Also, with regard to the I-95 improvement plan, as the gentleman stood there and he told us, there are plans that are going on, once again, around us, and no one's taken Dumfries into consideration. It is up to our citizens to speak out. As I always encourage, don't just complain, contribute. Here's your opportunity. We have been given a date for a meeting. We have been given an email address to send our feedback. They don't know how we feel and how important this money is to us, or that we be considered, because what other people don't realize is that when there is an accident on 95 and the alternate route is Route 1, that's our neighborhood that these cars are driving through, getting stuck in, and we're getting stuck in that traffic. So we have to let them know that we are important too, how we feel, but they won't hear us if we don't say anything. So please get involved. Thank you.
Well said, Vice Mayor. Well said. Hold on, I have some prepared remarks here. First, I want to welcome everyone back from our summer break. We've been on a little hiatus, abbreviated meeting schedule. So welcome back. Welcome our clerk back. We've missed you, Dawn, for the last couple meetings. You wasn't here. Yeah, but Retta did well while you were gone. So we just want to say, but let you know you were missed. So want to welcome everybody back from their various summer vacations and summer breaks. September is seems like it's an exciting time. Kids not only going back to school, we're kind of like a month away. If this was football, we're like a month away from the fourth quarter on our calendar year. And I hope that each and every one of you are closer to reaching the goals that you set back in January, or at least take September to kind of like reevaluate where you at and to really press down and figure out what it's going to take to get you from where you are now to where you want to be by December 31st. So take that time to reevaluate. A big congratulations goes out to two Town of Dumfries businesses for making the Inc. list of top 5,000 fastest growing companies in the entire United States. Those, and I'm gonna tell you those two companies. First one is TSI Inc. They came in on the list at 3,657. They're right here in the building right off of Possum Point there. This is a 4-time honoree based right here in the town of Dumfries, and they provide managed services specialized in cloud technology, and they had a 95%, you hear what I said? A 95% 3-year growth, $4 million in revenue in 2018. It's probably just going to continue to grow. We've actually picked them up in 2019 as our cloud solution and our IT service provider. So TSI Inc. is on the top 5,000 list. Also, Time Systems Incorporated, which is also headquartered right here in the town of Dumfries, in the Dumfries Shopping Center. Time System has a solid growth, watch this, of 267% in the last 3 years, attaining over 3 million in revenue in 2018, moving up 804 places from last year to this year. And so this year's Inc. 5000, was amazing, because I remember getting elected in 2012. And the goal I kept saying over and over, my mission was to help make Dumfries a destination place that people come from all over DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And I wanted them to do that on purpose. And this type of growth that you see from just these two companies in Dumfries, that shows Dumfries is the type of place where not only can you do business, but you can do business and your business can grow fastly. I'm talking by leaps and bounds and percentages. And so with the right processes in place, if you locate your business in the town of Dumfries, you too can make it into the Inc. 5000 list. And so I just want to let businesses know that, hey, we're open for business and we're looking to do things. And you got a council here that's committed to economic development and really making this place that you not just come home and sleep every day, but you do your business and you do your everyday wares. Now, if you didn't know, our customer service center is now open. We successfully opened on August 19th. We've been doing our soft openings here. And our staff, I got to brag on them, is the most friendliest. They got the biggest smiles in all of the DMVs I've ever been to. And so if you want to go to a DMV Select and you don't want to spend all day in line or waste most of your day, then you want to come right here to the town hall and do all of your DMV Select service. Now, we do everything except driver's license and real IDs right now, but stay tuned later on in the future. We may have something down the road. So we're just looking to exceed your expectations. Like I said, I think we got the happiest staff in the world right here in the town of Dumfries. So I'm just going to promote that. I think that's my job as your mayor and your chief ambassador, is to promote this place. We're going to have a grand opening and a ribbon cutting on Wednesday, September the 18th at 3 p.m. DMV Commissioner, we're inviting other elected officials to come take part of that. So we're asking you all to just come out and be a part of that grand celebration. We're also going to be unveiling our honorary street naming of our very own McLaughlin's here on that Friday, the 20th, right here leading into the DMV is going to be McLaughlin Way. And so we're inviting you out to our Before I See Your luncheon. I think that's at 11 or 12? 12:30 on the 20th. So let's talk about that. School is, everybody said that, but that's still in my notes. School is back in session, and we just ask, I think I put in my notes, we ask that you be mindful of the youth in the streets, all right? And early in the morning when you're leaving, if you're in a rush, get up a little bit earlier and leave a little bit earlier. Slow down, make sure you got enough time so you can stop when the buses stop so these kids that's running in the street can get into their buses, all right? I want to say thank you to the community for the outpouring of love they showed me this past weekend on my birthday. I got a birthday. I've been around the sun one more time. And so you guys make a brother feel loved and appreciated. And I think it's okay to feel like that some of the time. Is that okay? Yeah, all the time. Lastly, I bring a bit of sad news. I want to announce the passing of my sister. She passed in a tragic accident on September the 2nd, a day after my birthday, at like about 4 in the morning. She was traveling on 95 in Maryland. I don't know really what happened and why it happened. All I can say is it happened. And the last 2 days have kind of been a roller coaster of emotions for me and my family. More importantly, she leaves behind a handsome young 3-year-old, my nephew, Aiden. And my youngest sister is now, she's in the process. I think she sent me a message since I've been sitting here to kind of try to set up a memorial fund for him to kind of make sure he's set up. And a lot of people have been already outpouring, reaching out, wanting to help. So I'll post that link on my Facebook page. And just want you to know that life is not promised to you. So if you haven't called a loved one in some time to just say, I love you, let's not wait to do it till tomorrow. When you leave here tonight, call somebody and let them know you love them. You know, and if ain't nobody called you in a while to say I love you, know that I love you and there's nothing you can do about it. And those are my remarks for tonight. We're going to take a 5-minute recess. All right. All right, we're gonna call this meeting back to order. All right. And next on the agenda is the staff reports. The first staff report is from our town attorney. Chris Catalan. Catalano.
Mayor, council,
Sorry.
you have my report in front of you, and I am ready to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, council, are there any questions on the town attorney's report? All right, seeing no lights, there are no questions on your staff report. All right. Next staff report is from the town manager. Any questions on the town manager staff report? Okay. There you go.
Do we have an update on Potomac Shores, anything that they've been doing or have been doing or proposed to do or anything?
I've met with our counterparts in the county, but there's nothing else that the town needs to weigh in on or take action on at this point in time.
Do we know when this particular project's going to break ground?
No.
Not yet?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Fields.
Yes, no question per se for the town manager, but what I'm going to talk about comes under the leadership and guidance of the town manager through the police department. Okay, as I alluded earlier, that I've been out and about around town watching the activity and the non-activity of the police department. Citizens are still complaining that they're not being seen on foot in their communities. And citizens are complaining about, they feel as though, it may not be accurate, but they feel as though they're being racially profiled in this town. I put a question out today, and the question was, Dumfries residents only. I put it on my Facebook page. Please let me know by responding to the following question. When is the last time you have seen our Dumfries police officers walking in the neighborhood? Now, look at the last report. It showed significantly higher, 106 hours of foot patrol, but yet and still we got complaints coming in. 106 hours. How many officers do we have on the street?
How many officers are on that foot patrol, you said?
No, how many officers are on the street, period?
How many do we have right this moment, Chief? 10.
Just as I figured. That gets down to 10 hours per officer if it's broken down that way. 10 hours for a whole month, you actually have time to go out and do that. I can only give an example. I could do half of that or all of that in 1 week as a patrolman when I was in this town patrolling. So 10 hours, and I'm quite sure every officer isn't doing that. So the question was, in response, I got, ha. Is that a serious question from one of our citizens? We haven't seen that in years. They're in the area, but we only see them during certain times. Another one says between 7 and 11. We have K-9, but you don't see the K-9 officer out with the dog walking the beat. It's quite embarrassing. One person is responding. And I will show these to the police chief, these comments. They're coming from citizens right here in the town. Now, as I mentioned, I've been out in the town and I went Facebook Live and out seeing what's going on, seeing where our tax dollars and the budget that we approved and how this police department and the officers are being paid. We have been complaining for months that officers are sitting up under the bridge. Many times I go out 30 minutes and back up under the bridge right here on Mine Road up under 95. Technically, that's outside the town limits of Dumfries. I have seen myself park behind churches, but I ride through the town during the daytime, during the night, and I don't see anybody walking the beat. I see several traffic stops. Whoopee, that's nice. But we look at the reports, and the numbers are coming down. I think the report says 60. Council, help me out. I can't find that page. Christy, we were just talking about, what is it, 60?
I was going to say, are you talking about my report or the, because the calls for service are going to be a little bit different from mine because
Yeah, I got
my
it.
reports be the misdemeanors that you see in court. It's not going to include calls that no arrests were made and it's not going to
Sure.
include the
Sure.
felonies.
I see that.
But those are the number of misdemeanor and traffic cases that appeared in court that month.
Okay.
They may or may not all have been charged in that month, but they appeared in court that month.
Still, am I not correct that the numbers are down considerably over the past few months?
Yes.
And the numbers are way down from when we had a handful of people. Am I not correct?
Well, when we had a handful of people, they were more in this neighborhood. They went up and they've come down.
Come down. So we need some answers as to why it comes down. Sergeant, that we don't send people in Williamstown patrolling or on foot patrol by themselves. I did it, but I was told that I was not smart to do. But I did it in the neighborhood for several years when it was way worse than it is now. Under this watch, we have several shootings and one murder. Why? Why are people feeling comfortable coming to our town and committing a murder? If we're out there like we're supposed to be, they would be afraid to come to this town to do anything because they'd be afraid of our police department and not wanting to come in. The numbers are down. The numbers speak for itself. Also, the other night, if we're not sending anyone by themselves and I see 4 or 5 officers on the street, why not take some of that time to walk through the town? If you could ride by and look at me, you can get out and walk with me. And that's all I got to say.
Okay. Town manager, the floor was yours.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to highlight a few things from my report. As the mayor mentioned, our customer service center opened on August the 19th. And I just wanted to report that obviously this is a DMV Select as well as a town customer service center. So you can handle town transactions as well as DMV transactions. But just on the DMV side, our staff has handled over 400 transactions to date and brought in over $20,000 in revenue for the DMV transactions. Now, the town portion, 1,000 is roughly $900. However, for 2 weeks for a soft opening, I think that shows that the volume is there, that people are learning that we're here and that we're open for business. So I think that's a great start. Also to note about the customer service center, we are seeing an increase on the town side, particularly in our fees for permits. And so I want to just commend our code enforcement staff, Sherry De Silva. She's been doing an excellent job. The goal of opening the town customer service center was so that people that had questions, whether it was permits or business license, they had a place where they could go and get those questions answered. So that's also seeing an uptick in the volume just by the number of people that come to handle that business. The other item I wanted to highlight, the town is in the midst of, or we're getting underway our annual audit for fiscal year 2019. So we are in that process. And just to confirm the original reports, we have an unaudited surplus of $315,578.68. That is for a budget this size, I'd say even unaudited, that is a nice figure considering the changes that were made in last year. And so those are just a few points I just wanted to highlight from the report.
Question about the Possum Point water replacement. Do we have an estimated completion date on that? I know we have a start date at the end, but how long roughly are we looking at that project to take?
We'll have an update soon. I don't have an estimated completion date just yet.
All right. Council Lady Willis?
The mayor alluded to possibly increased services like driver's license and things at our DMV. Is that a possibility or is it something that?
So DMV Selects are not allowed to do driver's license. However, we will be partnering with the full service DMV to offer those services on site here. They will either bring their staff and be located within our customer service center, or they will bring their mobile vehicle and you can have the license and ID processed on site here. So that's just something that selects are not allowed to do, but we will be partnering at particular events to make sure that we can do those things from time to time.
Does our select, because I know most selects do not offer birth certificate services, when the full service DMV comes in for, what is it, a few days every month or something, will that service, I mean, so their full service will also, everything that they do on a full service DMV comes with them, correct?
So the DMV select can do everything except driver's license and ID. That's the only thing that selects
They can
cannot
do birth certificates too?
The birth certificates have a different process. You can also go to other agency, but if it's available to print, I believe we're able to print that from select locations.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Vice Mayor.
We are also able to register to vote at our DMV Select?
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. We are able to register to vote at our DMV Select. Do we hear that? That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. There are no excuses.
Council Lady Neville.
All right, so I just wanted to follow up on the RAD program and ask if a date has been set for that, and also ask if it's possible to have that program next month, as it is Domestic Violence Prevention Month.
Sure, I will follow up and we will make that happen. Not a
Awesome.
problem.
Thank you.
I think we had an Office of Complete Domestic Violence training this month, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, we did. I remember seeing it, but I can't see it right now. Graham, okay. Sergeant Graham completed domestic violence training. I knew I remember reading that. All right. Anything else for the town manager? Councilor Neville?
I just want to bring attention to October 19th being at Fall Festival. And so anyone watching, anyone here, I believe Ms. Ragland is accepting vendors and service vendors, businesses. You can go ahead and get a space at our Fall Festival on October 19th at Garrison Park.
All right. Next on the agenda is our action items. Anybody like action? All right. We're going to take some action. First action item is ordinance vehicle license fee. Town manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This ordinance adjusts the way that the town handles our vehicle license fee. Many residents remember in the past, and we actually often still get residents that come in trying to purchase a decal. Well, we're updating the process for this year. We will no longer be issuing decals. We will bill for the vehicle license fee for every person that has a applicable vehicle that resides within the town. The vehicle license fee will be due on December 5th, which is also the due date for some that may or may not know with the real estate tax bill. So we think that with our collaboration with the county and with DMV, and by eliminating the decal and mailing bills, that we will see a increase in compliance. And we also think that it'll be easier for residents to pay either by mail or downstairs in our customer service center.
All right, council, any questions about the introduction of this ordinance amendment? All right, seeing done. Anybody from the public want to have any questions or any comments about this ordinance? All right, seeing no comments. What action are you looking for from council?
Motion to approve.
All right, it's been moved
Second.
and second. Any further discussion? I think we've exhausted this discussion. Call for the question. All in favor, do so by raising your hands. Aye. Affirmative. Brian, did you raise your hand? Okay. Motion carries 5-0. All right. Next on the agenda is a resolution to increase efforts to enhance sustainability. Councilwoman Neville.
Thank you, Mayor, and by now, Council, everyone's had a chance to read the resolution, and I just want to present it in the spirit of a Native American proverb that we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children, and this is all about the town starting to take steps to be more sustainable.
Okay. All right, council, any questions for Councilwoman Neville about her? Okay, yeah, you come on up to the podium and state your name and your address, and then you can speak to it. What's your name and your address, please?
Good evening. My name is Tiziana Bottino. I live at 3260 Bethel Church Drive, Woodbridge. I want to say a big thank you to Councilwoman Neville for introducing this resolution. It is a great start of the conversation, and I know she has a lot more in store, and I encourage you to vote in favor. I also encourage the council to quickly and aggressively move to do everything that you can to become greener and a leader in environmental and sustainability issues. The UN warned us we only have about 10 years to curb the worst effect of the climate crisis, from hurricanes to floods, droughts, food crop failures, water shortages, sea level rise, and more. We're faced with the biggest existential threat in recorded history, and we must respond to climate change like the emergency that it is. 133 cities across country committed to 100% clean energy. And we recognize that climate change is not, and I say we, I'm sorry, I forgot to acknowledge the amazing women in the room. I'm so sorry. I'm a community organizer for Mothers Up Front. It's a mothers organization that fight for a livable future for our children. And also I'm the founder of the Greater Prince William Climate Action Network. And can you say your name? Just shout your name. Is that okay? Okay, well, to them. And she's here on our birthday, by the way. And so they're amazing. So they're here in support of this resolution. And so we recognize that climate change is not only real, but it's going to consume us if we don't do anything about it. And as a next step to this resolution, I encourage Mayor Wood to join the Global Covenant of Mayors, which calls for a greenhouse gas inventory for Dumfries, for your town, in this case, of course, Dumfries, and followed by a plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. We'll also love to continue working with you to help make Dumfries a true leader in sustainability efforts and to curb man-made contribution to the climate crisis. Also, I'm so glad that you made that comment about Dumfries being open for business. Because just today, I happened to read an article that said that the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics released a report about the fastest growing jobs in the country. And if it just so happened to be solar photovoltaic installers are expected to see the largest increase in demand in jobs, followed by wind turbine technicians. So if you're really serious about attracting businesses, it's clean energy businesses that you have to look to. So we have time, we have the technology, we just need it and the tools, so we just need the political will. And I really hope you vote in favor of this resolution as a first step. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anybody else wanting to speak to the resolution, please come to the mic now. Oh, yeah. Step up, state your name, your address, organization.
Good evening, Council. Those in attendance. My name is Derek Smith. For those that have not personally met me, I live at 12611 Dulcinea Place in Lake Ridge. For those of you that are familiar with me, the irony of this resolution that I'm not as intimately familiar with, but completely passionate about, is I have shared some information recently with Derek Wood in regards to introducing a couple of programs that would be beneficial to for-profit and not-for-profit organizations that will allow them to take advantage of CPACE financing that will enable organizations to take advantage of energy efficient building upgrades at low cost. This will be a benefit to economic development in the town of Dumfries. I think it'll be a good tipping point for Greater Prince William County in creating jobs for local contractors and reducing our carbon footprint and going green. So I don't know much about this resolution, but I'm definitely in favor for it. Didn't know that you guys were doing this tonight. So I was really coming to pay my condolences to Derek and his sister. I found out about what happened. I had intended to have some other individuals from a CPACE organization here tomorrow. I didn't realize that the meeting was tonight, but later in the month of September, it is my goal and intent to actually have those individuals introduced to the rest of the town council. And I believe that Derek already has the information that he's going to share with the town attorney to review and begin these discussions.
All right. Anybody else wanting to speak to the resolution? All right, seeing none, council. Lady Neville, you requested action?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to set a motion that we approve the resolution to increase efforts to enhance sustainability.
A second.
It's been motion, it's been second. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor, do so by show of hands. Okay, motion carries 5-0 unanimously. Well, thank you for your passion. Next on the agenda is a resolution encouraging the Commonwealth of Virginia to allocate funding for the town of Dumfries Route 1 widening project. Mayor Warner, he kind of left on me, but that's okay. This is a resolution to encourage the Commonwealth of Virginia to allocate funding to the town of Dumfries Route 1 widening project. Route 1 widening project is our #1 project in town because it's going to increase economic development. It's going to spur a lot of this economic growth, and we can possibly bring a lot of these green jobs to town. We've already been awarded money for our preliminary engineering, our design, and our right-of-way acquisition and utility relocation as well. And our goal and the goal of the Commonwealth of Virginia in this Interstate 95 corridor study that they gave us is to mitigate congestion, right, and improve safety and advance economic development. Well, the Route 1 project in Dumfries is the ideal project for that. And so this Route 1 widening project would drastically mitigate traffic congestion. It's going to improve the safety of our citizens here and increase economic development opportunities. Route 1 is a major highway, and it's probably one of the most traveled corridors in the Commonwealth of Virginia in the eastern region of the United States, spanning from Maine all the way down to Florida. Route 1 serves as an integral roadway to improving congestion, safety, and economic development, particularly along this I-95 corridor. Whereas at present, Route 1 and the town of Dumfries present unique challenges for a lot of our local residents and business. For most of you who live here, you understand we're cul-de-saced in our community. We got one way in and one way out, and that's Route 1. And so that's very unique. And so this Route 1 project under development is the last unfinished segment in the 23-mile corridor between I-495 and Stafford County. And the Commonwealth plans to invest millions in transportation infrastructure funding and safety improvements. They're talking about taking billions of dollars to a bridge to DC, and we got all of these problems right here in Dumfries. That money don't need to go to DC. They need to, all we're looking for, we got everything else but the $60 million we need to do this construction. And so as we continue to pursue funding in this construction phase, we're doing it by resolution of a council that we request the Commonwealth of Virginia to allocate additional resources to support our Route 1 widening efforts. So any questions from the council on that resolution? Council Lady Willis.
I think we need to email this as an attachment and not only your signature, Mr. Mayor, but everybody on council needs to sign it.
We can make that happen. Any other comments from council on that? Any citizens want to make comments about that that particular resolution? I think everybody's pretty much in favor. All right, so we're looking for a motion to have us all sign that. Yep.
Second.
Okay, it's been motion, it's been second. Seeing no further discussion, who's all in favor of encouraging the Commonwealth of Virginia to allocate funding toward the Route 1 widening project? Say aye. Nobody out there? Say everybody. All right, motion carries 5-0. All right, next on the agenda is a resolution to approve the building signage for our beautiful William Porter Municipal Town Center, 17739 Main Street. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. The resolution that's before you is to support the signage for this current building. As you all know, this building is located within the historic district. And so while the town as the initiator is exempt from the actual approval of the ARB, we did, as code requires, allow them to review that. The ARB provided their blessing to this signage, and so it is now before council for council's blessing as well.
All right, Vice Mayor.
Just for clarification, there are two different versions of the sign in here.
Thank you.
So what the ARB blessed was the brick sign.
Correct.
So are you asking council, are you moving forward with the brick sign, or are you asking council to vote between the two signs?
No, and my apologies in regards to the rendering. The non-brick visualization was to provide the scale. The brick rendering is what it will actually look like. So I'm asking for approval of the brick rendering.
Okay, Council Lady Willis.
I see that the tenants are listed on our sign also. Is the administrative offices for the town of Dumfries going to be put on there as the very first line item?
If Councilwoman Willis would like that, we can make that happen.
Well, I mean, I would love that because people coming into our community need to know where we are.
Absolutely. Yes, and this is just a visual, so
Right.
yeah, we will,
Right.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Neville.
I have a related question, just because the DMV Select, and I was going to follow up, I think that should be listed as well. But is there a way we can get a sign directly over that door, an awning, something other than, yeah, that sticker and sheet of paper? I was actually customer number 82 last week, and I was just wondering, like, wow, it'd be nice if we had a sign right over the door for that. So this is related, not this, but
Sure.
we're talking about signs here.
Have you seen, today we installed the door signage?
Today,
Yes, ma'am.
I will make sure I stop by and visit that
Okay.
door sign on my
I was
way to
hoping
my
you
truck.
weren't saying that you didn't like that.
No, I
Okay.
didn't see.
Okay.
The door signs is just the logo on the door, right? Right now.
Right. The
That's
door
what I saw.
signage says, and it's permanent now. It was just a piece of computer paper, but now it says DMV Select. It has the town logo here, and it says says Customer Service Center on the door, and the suite number has also been added for clarity. The other thing, just to kind of, because there are a good number of signs in this complex and in the area. So there are 3 directional signs along Route 1. There's another sign that is within this parking lot to direct you over to the left. There's another sign on the wall beside the Customer Service Center that says that it's also served as DMV Select. And then on the door to the entrance, we have the town logo, we have the DMV Select logo, and town customer service printed with also the suite number. So I hope we cover it all.
I'm gonna take a look at that tonight,
Okay.
and I'll shoot you an email.
Okay. All right.
You forgot a location. There's a sign on 234 when you get off the interstate and before you turn right on Route 1.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
All right, Council Lady Willis and then Councilman Fields.
I love this sign. Are we going to try to do something similar to let everyone know that our police department's next door?
Absolutely.
Great.
We have an existing sign,
Right.
and that we need to adjust. And the ARB actually gave some suggestions or things that they thought would be a compliment to the historic district. So this was kind of the number one thing that we wanted to do. We wanted to make sure that within our leases with our tenants that we're doing the maximum that we should do to promote and show that they're people that they conduct business with know that they're here. So once we get this, we will try to refine everything else directionally as well.
Know what I was talking about? I know there's a sign in front of it's the old sign that was in front of Town Hall.
Right.
are we looking at something similar to this? Maybe not on such a scale as, because doesn't need to list anything, for our PD? In
Yes.
front of our building? Okay, great.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Councilman Fields?
Like I said, while we're on signs, the sign that's on the top of this building here about leasing, can that come down? And
Yes.
maybe a smaller sign put up somewhere else? Because I believe it's taken away from the beautification of the building.
Absolutely.
And we talked about that at dedication, but I don't think it got to you.
Well, and that's just to advertise that we have space for lease, and we still do have space for lease if anyone is interested. It's very lovely space. But we would get a sign that's ground level. Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Councilor Neville?
Just to clarify, so when I first looked at the image, I just thought, just the names of the offices, the buildings, or the businesses here. This was just to show us what it would look like. But are there going to be enough slots for every tenant here, or is this something like which tenant? Like, what do you have to do? What are qualifications to potentially be listed on the sign?
Not every single tenant will necessarily be listed. The reason why I don't want to answer that question is because different leases make some different, assurances for how we will advertise. And if you look at the building currently, we kind of have some non-uniform things happening.
Yes, we do.
So the whole goal is to try to get some uniformity and make sure that we're complying with the assurances and the leases. But everybody that is a major tenant will be named, and we'll be able to accommodate that.
Thank you.
What's your requested action, sir?
Motion to approve, sir.
So moved.
Second. We're excited about that, I guess.
You can pick your move and you can pick your second. Oh, yes, you're absolutely right. I didn't ask for it on that one. All right, any citizen comment on our building signage conversation we just had? All right, seeing no citizen comment, I welcome a motion from the floor.
So moved again.
Second.
All right, it's been moved, it's been second. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor on the sign, say aye. Oh, show of hands, I'm sorry, show of hands. Motion carries 5-0. All right, next on the agenda is a resolution to appoint Tanya Whiting to the Planning Commission. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. The resolution that is before you is to appoint Ms. Whiting to the town's Planning Commission. Ms. Whiting would serve the unexpired term of Mrs. Louise Waggy. And so we are looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Oh, excuse me, I didn't have public comment period. Thank you. All right. Is there any discussion on this? Are you seeing anybody in the public who want to speak on? Okay, no, she's out. All right, seeing no public comment.
I have a comment.
It's coming. Vice Mayor.
I just wanted to say that I met Miss Whiting at an event. I called what event it was, and she said to me, "I would love to be involved in the town," and that makes me proud because we ask you all to get involved, and this is the best way to do it. Get involved in what we're doing. So I'm happy that we are appointing her. It seems like it's been a bit of a lengthy process through no fault of her own, but she stayed diligent in her request for appointment. So I am proud to see her being appointed here.
All right, seeing no further discussion, I welcome a motion from the floor.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved, it's been second. All in favor, do so by show of hands. Okay, motion carries 5-0. All right, next on the agenda is a resolution to support fiscal year 2024-2025 Northern Virginia Transportation Authority Regional Project call for what is it? Applicant? Because it's a call for project. It's application. All right, Town Manager, you can take the lead.
Thank you, Mayor. So earlier tonight, we had a presentation in regards to the Commonwealth of Virginia's I-95 corridor study. We also had a resolution to encourage the Commonwealth to, with their investment, not forget about the town of Dumfries and our unique widening project. As the council is aware, we have received funding from the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority for the first 2 phases for our project. And we continue to do our due diligence, and we will be again applying during this upcoming funding round to the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority for funding for the construction phase. This resolution is the resolution of the legislative body to support that application. We will also be garnering, in addition to attending those public hearings for the corridor study, we'll also be asking for support of other members in the community and other influential organizations to support our application for the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority. So I am just requesting that the council make a motion to approve this resolution, and it will be included with our application packet for construction funding for Route 1 widening.
All right.
Ladies first.
Council Lady Willis.
I think we all need to sign it.
Yeah. Okay.
Because, I mean, mayor's signature is great, but I think the council needs to all sign it because we've been, it feels like battling forever to get the money.
Vice Mayor.
I agree with Councilwoman Willis.
That's all you want to say?
Yes, I
Okay.
didn't even know that I was, I
Yeah.
forgot I had it open. I wasn't gonna say anything.
Councilman Fields.
Agree and agree. And Mr. Rogers, I don't know if you were here when we had the big Route 1 widening public hearing over at Dumfries Elementary. Were you here then?
I was here.
Okay. Keep our citizens informed of what's going on with this project and the changes, because there are some good changes that the citizens are very adamant against how the direction of the Route 1 project was going to go. So please keep us abreast and keep the citizens abreast of any changes that's coming along. And, you know, along with our Senator, Scott Servor was very heavy handed in us getting this funding and everything like that. So let the citizens know that, hey, this is a good thing and we're fastly going forward.
Will do.
All right. Seeing no further discussion on this, any citizens in the public want to speak to a resolution to support a call for Northern Virginia Transportation giving funding towards our Route 1? All right. Seeing no comments from there, I welcome a motion from the floor.
Motion.
It's been moved. It's been a second. All in favor, do so by show of hands. Okay, motion carries 5-0. Okay, next on the agenda is some introductory items. The first introductory item is an ordinance to amend the town code to add a public procurement chapter 80, sections 80-1 through 80-6. Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I was going to ask the town clerk to read these items into the record and ask for a motion as a block to schedule a public hearing on September 17th. But there was some earlier comment about these first item. So I am willing to answer any question at this point, or if we want to have the discussion at the September 17th meeting.
Vice Mayor, push your button.
Thank you. As I read over this, it speaks to small purchases. What is small? Is that defined by, what is the specific value dollar threshold that defines small? And is what I'm reading then, does that mean that when there are purchases that fall under this qualification, then it goes, you as the town manager are making that decision and it's not something that has to come to council for approval? Is that really what we're looking to do here?
So let me explain a little bit about what's happening here. So the town currently does not have a codified method to purchase anything. All jurisdictions within the Commonwealth of Virginia obviously fall under Virginia law, and so there's the Virginia Public Procurement Act, which we all follow. It is incumbent upon us as the professional staff of the town to have a process by which we would utilize to procure goods. So this ordinance essentially sets the stage for us to, number one, establish a procurement code for the town, and two, to be able to set a policy for small purchase. So to answer your question, the ordinance does not establish that small purchase threshold. The Virginia Public Procurement Act establishes threshold for small purchases, but as you know, in many cases, the Commonwealth allows you the leeway to be more restrictive at the local level should you see fit. So the purpose of this is to set the stage for us to be able to begin to have sound procurement policies. The reason why this is necessary is a simple example. If I were to need to purchase some goods and I want to put out an invitation for bid, I put out that invitation for bid. It says that this is what I'm looking to buy, and you tell me how much it costs, and I will tell you the method by which I will select the winning bidder. If I say we're going to accept the lowest bidder when we put that IFB out, I can only accept the lowest bidder. So I can't select somebody different. The staff can't select somebody different. The council can't select someone different. So right now, the way that there's no provision for how that is to operate within the town code. And the town code in many instances is reflected as if there is no staff at all. So we needed to make these adjustments in order to begin to get to that place. Furthermore, a town staff this size, we really should be looking at utilizing the EVA system that the state has at our disposal. And EVA has established methods for procurement depending on the dollar value of the goods or services that you're trying to procure. For example, if the chief needs to buy some equipment, if it's over $5,000, policy may dictate that rather than doing a full solicitation, he get 3 quotes. If you get 3 quotes, and then once he selects who he wants, to bring it to council would not only not make sense, but it would also, no one would want to do business with us if we are engaging in solicitations that we don't have the approval authority to authorize. Further, in addition to that, nothing can be done without the resources being already allocated. So the resources are already allocated in our budget. And there's no method, and this code also establishes a method of reporting. So anything that we do really should be available for public inspection in regards to everything that we purchase or anything that we're attempting to purchase. So those are the main things that this update does. And there would be future items that could potentially come into that. Also, what you'll notice there is compliance with Prompt Payment Act. So these are all things designed to increase competition with vendors, to ensure that we have the guidelines and metrics that we need in order to actually do public procurement. Coming in, I mentioned to the council that policy and procedure was one of the things that was a weakness. The best intentions when it comes to public procurement could get you in trouble. And so it's not about not being able to do business the way that we have done it in the past. It's about enhancing that. And quite frankly, without a dedicated staff that is responsible simply for purchasing or procurement, the staff needs the tools at their disposal to be able to conduct business. If we're talking, and I'm picking on the police department because it's public safety. If the chief needs, some infrastructure for armor or weapons, he should be able to go through authorized method of procurement, find the items that he needs, know that he has safeguards in place to make sure that he's done it correctly, and to execute on that in real time. And that is what we are trying to put in place with this item.
Just one other thing. This resolution has yeses all the way down it. I guess you want to make sure that that's correct before if it's everybody's not here.
All right, Council, you finished?
I'm done. Thank you for that explanation, sir.
Council Lady Willis.
Can you get us some information on the EVA system? As well as if I am trying to buy something and I'm not going into a full-blown procurement, I just need, ammo, and it's in the budget.
could I make a comment, on that? Part of this here is, it tells the town states that the town manager has to establish a small purchase policy. So that's something that once this is done, will come back in front of you. So right now, the code, we have the procurement policies and the guidelines that we can follow, but there's a section in the code that says, under small purchases, it gives us the ability to adopt additional policies to give us additional methods to procure things that right now we can't utilize. So you will see those more specific guidelines and those more detailed thresholds and guidances, and where it says, where normally right now we might have to go out for an invitation for a bid or request for proposal, where it says if it's under a certain dollar threshold, if we have a policy saying we can get 3 quotes, we can do that instead. Whereas right now we don't have that ability. So you'll see, he'll certainly, I'm sure, advise you as to what all he'll bring you, but you'll see when you get, after this is passed, he'll put together and we'll get a small purchase policy to you that will have more details that you will see and that you will get to approve.
One thing I'm wondering about is how is this going, is there going to be something written in the policy that we, for small purchase procurement, keeping us honest to where we don't say, well, my brother's a contractor and I'm going to get him in here and do something for the town. Is there any way we can prohibit that?
Well, that's really already, already prohibited. The things that you can't do are very clear within within the state
Right,
law. And depending on the dollar value, that is what determines really the
Right.
method that you would use. So absolutely.
Yes, and my brother is a contractor in the town. However, he knows his limits and he knows what he can and can't do. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Councilor Neville.
Yes, I just wanted to say I like the idea, or not even idea, the concept that's about to happen with the town having services listed on EVA, because it also increases our equity, just being equitable and having equality. So SWAM, women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses can, we can level and equal the playing field when we need services to benefit the town. And without having certain things in place, like having things listed on EVA with Virginia, providing that oversight, I just think it's a step in the direction. So thank you for putting this together.
All right. Seeing no more comment from council. Anybody, do we do comment? No, this is not action items. These just public hearing. All right, so you're just looking for council to move this to a public hearing?
Yes, sir.
All right. Councilor Neville.
So there's a tab on the town website that does say procurement, and there's a, I guess, RFP for what Trimark does. It looks like what Trimark does. So that'll be updated, and this information will be reflected on that tab once it's.
Several updates are on the way, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
All right, so you're looking for a motion to move this to a public hearing?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're looking for a motion to move this to a public hearing.
Second.
All right, it's been moved, it's been second. All in favor, do so with a show of hands. Okay, motion carries 5-0. All right, so you gotta take 2 of those yeses off. All right. Next on the agenda is an ordinance, the final introductory item. How about that?
I have a question.
Ordinance to authorize the town manager to enter into a lease agreement for office space at 17739 Main Street.
What is this? Is this in anybody else's book?
Yeah, that was the,
What is that a
so,
part of?
so that's on the last discussion item. It's what's being deleted to add. So you're
Okay.
deleting those codes, changing the numbers, and then,
Okay, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
so
I
that's
was-
that's what the policy was
Okay.
forming. All right. Town manager.
Yes, so the final introductory item is for us to enter into a lease for office space within this building. So I'm also looking for a motion to schedule the public hearing on September the 17th.
All right, it's been moved. Any discussion? Oh, it's second. It's been moved in second. Any discussion? All right, seeing no discussion, all in favor, do so by show of hands. Okay, motion carries 5-0. Our next meeting, I guess tomorrow, you can meet the cops and the Cones and the council at Jimmy T's at 5 p.m. Also, there's our next council meeting is going to be September the 17th, right here at 7 p.m. We'll be doing our ribbon cutting for our ceremony for our customer service center / DMV Select at 3 p.m. on September the 18th with the DMV commissioner. And that's a Wednesday, middle of the week. Yeah, everybody's invited. I mean, you know.
But council members work during the day because that's how we support our families. So being at events that happen at 3 p.m. No, I'm sorry, I cannot live off of my stipend. This is a labor of love, and therefore I cannot take time off work to be here for certain events. And it's very disheartening when some of these events occur during working hours that I would love to be a part of. Give an example, council cops and cones at 5 o'clock. That's just not really doable for most of us who have to travel from work. And I just, I ask that when we are scheduling these events and things like that, that we do consider council and that we do like to be involved, but we have to work also.
Councilman Fields.
I can't say that enough, Vice Mayor, especially coming from DC for these meetings. Mayor, I just would like for you to mention, or I can mention it, about the meeting, the first meeting of next month. It's going to be put off till a Wednesday as well. It's not too early to let people know about that because of BML.
Okay, very well. Well said.
And what's that date? Well, I'll say it. The meeting of next month will be, it'll be on a Wednesday, not a Tuesday. Wednesday, October the 2nd, 3rd?
October 2nd.
October 2nd because of VML. Okay, thanks.
All right. Council Lady Neville.
I have a question because I think it was referenced earlier in the meeting. Well, first of all, I echo Vice Mayor's sentiments because I've been saying that too for a long time. But as far as the honorary street with McLaughlin Way, can we clarify the time, the day?
We have not scheduled that yet.
Oh, you haven't?
Not yet.
I thought it was up there. It's, okay, yeah, I did it. Audible. Okay. All right. All right, we're looking for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
All right, it's been motioned, it's been second. All in favor of adjournment? All right, motion carries 17-0. This meeting is now adjourned.